Good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. You're locked into Conscious Minds TV with myself, D.V.G. And today I have a very, very special guest. It's a young brother by the name of Julio, who's one of the most amazing syncretists that I've come across. We recently connected and we've been sharing a lot of ideas and stuff. And he's got some Instagram channels and he's got a YouTube channel. And personally, I just think he needs a lot more light to be put on his work and for him to tell us what his channels are. And then what I'm going to do is speak to him a bit about how he got into this knowledge. And then we're going to basically talk about everything syncretism, but we're going to be talking about the Kabbalah and the tree of life and how it all connects into syncretism. So thank you for joining me, brother. It means a lot. I love your work. It's amazing. The way you explain it, your artwork, your everything about your work is amazing. Before we get into the chat, let people know where they can find your work, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever social media outlets you have.
For sure. I have a YouTube. It's Divine Being Being Divine. It's kind of hard to find me. You gotta I would type in, there's a certain title, the true concept of the pyramids, or I think it's called Pyramid and Prime Meridian. I was pretty much letting people know why there's always a pyramid that marks the prime meridian. And Santos Bonacci pointed me to this, and then I started seeking other prime meridians, and there's 4 of them. There's the original one was marked by the Great Pyramid of Egypt, the Giza Plateau, and it runs all the way to Lake Victoria. It runs along the Nile River. Yeah. And then you have the old French meridian, and now you have, well, it was supposed to be the Washington meridian, but now it's at Greenwich in UK. Yeah. So now that's the Greenwich meridian, but that's the newest one. It's not the original. Yeah. Anyways, there's a glass pyramid that would have marked the old French meridian. It would have went straight through the most famous museum in the world. It's called the Louvre Museum in France. And there's a glass pyramid that has 666 tiles. And that number is used in a lot of structures around the world. Yeah. For instance, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., the capital of America, the monument, the Washington Monument, it's an obelisk. It's 5,550, actually, it's 555 feet tall, which is the equivalent of 6,660 inches tall. So 666. Right. And basically, though, these are just anatomical symbols because they're dealing with your body. For instance, your rib cage, as Santos showed me, he showed me that your thorax is 18 inches, which is 6 + 6 + 6. That's your thoracic vertebrae, the 12 vertebrae with 12 ribs on each side. But anyways, that's my YouTube. It's called Divine Being Being Divine. And you can type in Pyramid Prime Meridian, and then you'll see that first video of me, and you can click on my channel and see all my other videos. Because for some reason, a lot of people have a hard time finding my channel. Yeah. Because I'm always, going against the mainstream science, I guess. That's what I think. But anyways, that's my Instagram. My Instagram is also Divine Being Being Divine with the underscore at the end.
Cool. So what I usually ask my guests when they first come on my show is, was there a specific moment that you started getting into diving deep, or was it like something that happened in your life, or was it a particular book you read? Give us a bit of insight on what really sparked the journey for you to start syncretizing and connecting things and looking into occultism, because I find that it's usually a defining moment in people's life. Most of the time, not all the time, some people have grown up knowing this knowledge and they've just gradually gained it. But for me, it was more of a one particular spark. How did that happen for you?
Well, basically, the moon landing. We all see the moon landing, or we've heard of it, and I always wondered, why is there no stars in the background on the moon landing footage? There's no stars in the background, and it seems so easy to fake because it's just a black and white filter. There's a black background and a white moon on the floor. So it's just black background, white floor. You could have put black and white at the desert and you could have been in Las Vegas. Who knows where you were?
Exactly.
So I'm just like, why do people just believe the government so much? Like, don't we have critical thinking skills? Because I grew up and I love critical thinking. You know, that's one of my greatest. I'm a critical thinker. That's what I do. You know, I'm a Capricorn, which is I use my brain. I use my experience. I use my hands. I use my mouth. I use my ears. I just use my senses, right?
Definitely. So, Capricorn also, its motto is I build. Capricorn is actually the sign of the Freemason because it's about the goat climbing to reach the top.
Yes, that's
it
right.
also represents setting foundations as well. So, because obviously Capricorn is right at the bottom. So yeah, you've got that Martian. Mars exalts in Capricorn and Saturn rules Capricorn as well. So you've got, although it's malefic energy, this is the thing with when it comes to astrology, people like think just because something's ruled by Saturn or Mars that it will be a nasty energy. But I always say that each planet or each energy has its yin yang, if that makes sense. Because for example, if we take like the archetype of Saturn, for argument's sake, well, Saturn is about discipline, boundaries, structure. It's about, because obviously in the body, it's ruled by the skeletal system, which is what gives the body its structure. But the thing is, you can use that same archetype from both positive and negative. For example, you need some discipline in your life to kind of have a foundation and to keep structured. But then people could use, for example, someone could deny you of something just because they want it all. So that would be a bad aspect of the Saturnian energy. Does that make sense? Whereas, but at the same time, we need discipline in our life for us to ascend and evolve and become better people. So it just depends. I always say this to people. It depends on how you use each archetype. Because, for example, in astrology, Jupiter is about abundance. But the thing is, it's good to have abundance in stuff. But if you're too abundant in something, then again, you don't know your limit. So we have to try and use all archetypes in their positive way. But most people just associate, oh, Capricorn, Saturn, they're evil, or all they think about is money. Or do you get what I'm saying?
Well, check this out. This is what I tell people about that, because I understand exactly what you're saying. Because that's true. It's always how you use that energy.
Exactly.
So basically, there was what's called the Great Conjunction, December 21st, 2020 was the Great Conjunction, right. Saturn and Jupiter. Well, Saturn is considered the cold contracting planet, father time, and he freezes time.
Cold and dry.
And you have Jupiter, which is the expanding warm planet.
Yeah.
So on this day where these two planets conjunct, where they're conjoined, they look like one star in the sky. I'm pretty sure they were like 7 arc minutes apart. They weren't too close. They were very near each other.
Yeah.
Now the point is, when these two planets, the energy is going to basically, it's the energy of Saturn and Jupiter are going to freeze and expand whatever energy you're feeling. You can think of it this way. Yep. So now, if you are in a good mental state, like peace, happiness, Jupiter's going to expand your happiness and Saturn's going to keep it there for the rest of the year. So great. Whatever energy you're at, it's going to magnify it and keep it there. Now on the contrary, the same energy exists if you're negative and you're yelling at your spouse or you're yelling at your partner and you guys are arguing. Now, when this conjunction happens, you're going to stay at that state and it's going to expand and be even worse.
Exactly. You couldn't have explained it any better, brother. I always find this with, for example, this is a bit of a strange allegory, but for people that when people use cannabis, for example, right? If you're feeling in a good mood, it will enhance that mood 1,000-fold. But at the same time, if you're feeling bad, then it could make you more angry. So like it depends on our state of consciousness on how the other planet or other effect will affect us, if that makes sense. So it's all down to us. We've got to work with it and not against it, like you said.
That's right. Exactly.
What another thing I always ask about people, what if there's one thing you love about being a Capricorn, or if there's one thing you hate about being a Capricorn, could you give me those one each, if there is that?
For sure. So Capricorn is the 10th sign if you start from Aries and go to Capricorn. So 10 is also 1.
Yep.
Now Capricorn, I'm very alone in a sense that I had to let go of my friends that were not on the same path as I am. I'm on a whole spiritual journey, and I like to meet with people that are on the same journey as me, so we can help each other up instead of being dragged backwards. And I don't want to drag people backwards. I want to do something I love and meet other people that are doing what they love. So
sure.
Capricorn, I'm number 1, as in like I'm the first one out of all my friends to wake up, to come to be a flat earther and to do all this stuff, and they haven't really penetrated the whole spiritual chakra, merging with nature. They haven't really got to that level yet. So I'm by myself. I mean, it feels good. I have all this wisdom. I learn from the best. I learned from you, Santos, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm alone, even though like I'm at the top of the mountain. I know where to get the knowledge. I know how important the stars are. I know how important it is for me to maximize my human potential, because we're not put on this earth to struggle. Everything is here for us. We have unlimited plants and resources. The only reason we are suffering is because lack of connection with each other. Once we connect, nobody wants to see other people suffer.
For sure.
No baby wants to attack other babies. They want to play with each other. And they say sorry. So anyways, my point is that Capricorn, you will get to the top of the mountain, but you might be by yourself. That's all I want to say. So
no, that's a great analogy. It's funny you mentioned number 1. Both my name has the value of 1, and my birthday has the value of 1 as well. Because my name in English gematria comes to 64, which is 10, which goes to 1. And my birthday is on the 19th, which is 1 and 9, which is 10, which is 1 as well. Oh. So yeah, I'm connected to that number as well.
I think my birthday is January 1st, 97. I think if I add those 1/1/1997, I think it's 10.
Right.
That's another cool thing.
Yeah.
My birthday is January 1st, so I'm 1/1, and I'm a Capricorn. So 1 is all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy how things like that happen. Like sometimes you think, oh, it's just a coincidence, but it's strange, brother. It's like talking about numbers the other day. I was looking into, like, obviously, like there was the 9/11 bombings, and there's a lot of numerical, like,
symbolism.
Symbolism and occultism in relation to that. But I don't know if you was aware that in 2005 in the UK, we had the 7/7 bombings, which was the 7th of July. But it happened in 2005. So 7 is the 7th of July. That's 7/7, because July is the 7th month. And then 2005 comes to 7 as well. So it's 777.
Wow. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I looked it up what 777 means. Actually, Aleister Crowley has a whole book on the significance of 777. And it says, if you are awakened, then 777 actually is a number that will bring you a lot of good luck. But it says for people who are dumbed down and ignorant, that value will keep them in that state. And it's
Wow.
crazy how maybe they use that 777 to keep the ignorant masses more ignorant, if that makes sense. But I only thought of it the other day. I thought, oh, let me check the numbers. So 777 is 21, right? 7/14/21. And then I checked the time of the first bomb on that day, and it was 8:49, which also comes to 21.
Wow.
Yeah, because 8 and 4 is 12, plus 9, is 21. So there's something to do with 21 and that day. And I checked the sun, moon, and Saturn were all in Cancer as well that day.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, brother. It's just that.
Well, yeah, look, the Statue of Liberty has 7 spikes on the crown. There's 7.
11 at the bottom. Yeah.
And that's 7/11. But people might say, well, that's 7/11, not and the Twin Towers was 9/11. But that's because they changed the
calendar.
added, that's right. So September means sept, like 7, like septagon.
7/11.
So it has to be 7. It's September 11th for a reason, because it's 7/11.
Yeah, it's both. It's funny you mention them. I'm a guest on a show after we do this show, and I'm gonna be talking about that because 9/11 comes because 9 + 1 + 1 = 11.
That's right.
So that again, that symbolizes Boaz and Jachin, the 2 pillars.
Oh yeah, and check this out. The 9/11, it was a Masonic ritual because
of course it was.
But here's the proof for it is because the tower stood for 33 years, and that's what happens.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that 33 years part. Yeah.
But from 1968 to 2001 is 33 years of standing. Like Jesus stood for 33 years, and then he fell, and he became one with the Father. When the Twin Towers fell, they become the One World Trade Center. Exactly the same concept. That was a Masonic ritual.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. And what's interesting as well, on the Freemason compass and square, one angle is 47 and one angle is 90. So that's 9/11 because 90 reduces to 9 and 47 reduces to 11.
Wow.
So even within the compass, they have the whole 9/11 symbology. Do you get what I mean? It's so easy to spot, brother.
And look,
you know.
The G at the center is the 33rd letter. If you go A to Z, then G again. So there's a little 33 at the center of the logo. Now, basically, the compass makes a circle, and the ruler makes a square.
Yep.
So you have a cube and a ball, and that's the Cabal, the cube ball.
Oh wow! Yes, the Cabal. I didn't think that's great etymology.
That's the Cabal, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not, they make it a bad thing, but it's basically us going from matter, from the root chakra, the 4-petal flower, the cube up to the ball, to the infinite sphere. Because a sphere, a circle is 3.1, it's infinite. There's not a circumference, but every square has a perimeter that is finite. And a ball is never finite. So that's infinite. So we go up from cube to the ball.
Wow, that is amazing. That makes sense because the cube in the Platonic solids is the symbol of Earth, because each Platonic solid connects with an element. So that's great.
And that sphere, all the Platonic solids, there's 5 of them. All 5 of them fit inside of a sphere.
Exactly.
So that's the main one.
Exactly. And you know that if you add up all the numbers of the Platonic solids, it comes to 50, which is 5, which is the quintessence, which is the dodecahedron, the master.
That's right. I think we talked about that last time. We didn't record that. We didn't record it though.
But yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying, brother. There's so many, again, because we take time to delve deep into these things, we can clock these things. Like, for example, you see how we said there's 9/11 and 7/11. Well, the 7/11 comes to 9 because 7 and 11, so 711 = 9, and then 9/11, 9 plus 1, 1 equals 11. So both two systems also come to 9/11. The astrological calendar comes to 9, and the new calendar comes to 11. So even in the two calendars, it adds up to 9/11 as well.
That's right.
So it's all there when people take time to look into it. And also, this is a good subject, actually, which goes on to the subject we're going to talk about, which is the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, which has the two pillars of Boaz and Jachin, which is the symbol of the Twin Towers.
That's right. The twins are basically the two vines. So that's Bina and Chakma.
Yeah.
And then you have so basically
Bina is Saturn and Chakma is Uranus in an astrological correlation. And you know what's really interesting, because Bina in Turkish, the word Bina means building.
Oh, okay.
And Bina corresponds with Saturn. And obviously we know Saturn is about structures. So again, that's just an etymological connection from the Turkish language to Bina. When we see a tall building, we call it a Bina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you this. Check this out.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can turn this around. I'm not sure if I can. Great. So right here.
Yep.
This is this right here is Malkuth at the bottom.
Yep.
Then you have the moon, Venus, Mercury. Actually, it goes moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter. You go through Pluto.
Yep.
Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Yeah. Pluto is in the dark position, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, so there's the left and right Boaz and Jachin.
Yeah.
And this is the two hemispheres of the brain. It's called the two cherubim that guard the tree of life at the Garden of Eden. That's the two hemispheres.
Yeah.
Now, basically, you have over here is Hermes. And look, he has Mercury. So there's the moon, then Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Yep. And he has the domes right here.
Yep.
So basically, this is Earth at the bottom, and that's Kepler at the top.
Yep.
And so my point is that as above, so below. Just like we come down in a lightning bolt, we go back up. So basically, we come down from the stars and we come down to Earth, and that's what happens in your body, is that the oil goes down from your head to the bottom of your spine, and then the oil goes back up. So just like the process happens within you, it happens outside. Yeah. Like in a literary sense, like you know. So that's really, how I understand it.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, brother, because it was talking about I've been doing a series on the chakras on the Syncretism Society Virtual Academy, and it was talking about how like most people talk about starting from the bottom going upwards, but no one ever talks about also starting from the top to materialize things as well. So for example, if we have an idea in our brain, it would have to go from the top to then come down and then materialize into the real world. But the book was saying that most people just only concentrate on the upward journey, if that makes sense, rather than both.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We always say start it from the bottom, but it's like, no, it's not, because we started from the top and then we got to go back up.
Well, hence the saying, as above, so below. They're mirrors of each other, basically, because, for example, just say there was, for argument's sake, just say there was a realm up there. Well, maybe, like, for example, how can I say? It's like they're just the mirror that, like Kiefer and Malkuth are just the polar opposites of each other. They're the two poles, I guess. You could look at it one as material and one as ethereal, because Keter has the word ether in it.
That's right.
So it's just one is spiritual and one is material. And it's interesting that when you look at the Malkuth symbol, it's actually split into 4 sections. Have you seen that? Like a circle
right.
with a cross in it.
It reminds me of the 4 corners of the earth.
That's right, exactly.
It's like, that's right, because those are the 7 wandering stars, and they didn't consider Earth as one of the wandering stars.
Yep.
That's why you have Sunday to Saturday and you don't have an Earth day.
Yep.
Because those are the ones that are moving, and Earth isn't one of the orbs that move. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's on the floor.
Yep.
So that's how they understood it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It makes just so much more sense to how we visualize and how we see life, because we see it from an Earth perspective, like you said. Because if that was the case, there isn't in astrology, they don't say, "Oh, where's your Earth?" Because then the Earth would be going through the chart as well. Do you get what I'm saying? Right.
Exactly.
It's not like that. It's from the perspective of Earth, and then we're seeing the 7 planets. And
like
it
this,
just goes back to what we was talking about as well, the birth chart being our dome, and the top half of the birth chart is our celestial sphere, the top half of our celestial sphere.
That's right. There's the ascendant, there's the descendant.
Yeah.
MC and IC. So basically it's whatever planet comes towards you and which one goes away from you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so there I have Poseidon and Uranos and Kronos, and then his child Zeus, and then Zeus has his children Ares, Apollo, Aphrodite, Hermes, Artemis, and there's all the.
Yeah. Also in the Islamic system, I have a book from a guy called Ibn Arabi, and he correlates the 7 prophets with the 7 wandering stars that we see. And he says that Abraham resides in the sky of Saturn, Moses resides in the sky of Jupiter, Aaron resides in the sky of Mars, Enoch in the sky of the sun, Joseph in the sky of Venus, Jesus in the sky of Mercury, and Adam in the sky of the moon. Obviously, this is the Islamic correlation. But
wow.
But when I saw Jesus and Mercury, and I assumed Jesus or Jesus as Jupiter Zeus. But then when I looked at it from an astrological perspective, I thought, do you know what? It still makes sense, because any sign that is ruled by Jupiter, its opposite ruler is always Mercury. So for example, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, opposite is Jupiter. Pisces is, so Virgo is ruled by Mercury and opposite is Jupiter. So I'm thinking maybe they assigned Jesus to Mercury because it's almost like his mirror image, if that makes sense. Because in the astrological charts, Mercury is always opposite Jupiter.
That's right.
And even if you look at the Kabbalah, I think it's that way as well. There's a direct line from Jupiter to Mercury. It's a diagonal line. If you look at the 10 Sephiroth on that diagram you had, you will see a direct line from Jupiter to Mercury.
Let's see.
So yeah, Mercury, it goes straight up, there you go. So, and then you got Mars opposite Venus. So it's the same as the zodiac.
Wow.
Yep. And if you look, and then you look at Mercury and Venus, they're ruled always by the element of air and earth. And then you've got Jupiter and Mars next to each other, which are ruled by the element of fire and water. So you can see patterns of why they're on the same level or why they're opposite each other.
And look, these are the seven Elohim. I did yellow. So these are the yellow. So basically you have Uriel, Gabriel, Amiel, Michael, Saint Michael, Raphael, Zadkiel, and Samael. So why did all these angels have L's at the end? Because they're the Elohim. Exactly. And Santos says that the word metal, there's 7 metals in alchemy. Yeah. And the word metal comes from metallo, which is matter and light, matter and loose. Metallo. So basically, these luminaries, these lights, they materialize when they come down from the ether to Malkuth. So basically, the sun's light materializes and becomes gold. The moon's light becomes silver. Mars becomes iron. Mars is red, and you have iron in your blood. It's red. Mercury becomes mercury. Jupiter becomes tin. And so that's why it's metal, because it's materialized light, matter and light. So we are physical bodies, and those luminaries solidify and become us. So we are Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. We're all of them.
Yep. Do you know what's really interesting, brother? You mentioned the 7 metals that correspond with the 7 planets. I did a video on that as well on the Syncretism Society. It was interesting. You know how you're saying obviously the gold connects with the sun.
Yes.
Well, when I was researching to do that video, it was saying that in the ancient Egyptians used to use gold to heal the heart. And obviously the heart we know is Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So gold in itself actually heals the heart. And also this is used in modern like heart wards in hospitals and stuff like that. They use gold within their apparatus to like heal people with heart problems. And also talking about how the moon is obviously corresponds with silver, and silver is used a lot in the creation of like photography and mirrors, because it's very like reflective and stuff like that. It was talking about like how the actual elements correspond with the planets as well.
That's interesting, because that's how we have mirrors today, because what we do is we polish silver and put glass on top of it. And it's just silver underneath the glass that's reflecting.
Exactly.
And you could use gold, but it's not going to be as mimicking as the silver, because silver would reflect your peach skin, and gold would make you appear gold.
Also, what you just said reminded me of something else. Well, the moon's light is more kind of centripetal and it's more concentrated, whereas the sun's light is more radiating. So the vision would be blurrier, if that makes sense. Whereas I feel like because silver is more
I get you.
Do you get what I'm saying?
It focuses it more.
It focuses it more. It's more centripetal, whereas the
it would have canceled each other out with the gold.
The sunlight is more centrifugal, the way the light comes out. So it would almost make it more blurry. That just come to me now while we was talking, if that makes sense.
I think there's another one. There's another thing I wanted to say. The metals, the moon.
Also, go ahead, brother, and I'll tell you after.
So the lunatic. You know how we call it a lunatic when somebody goes mad?
Yep.
Well, usually on a full moon, there's a song by Michael Jackson called Thriller, and he becomes a werewolf. He becomes a lunatic, right? Well, the only way to cure a werewolf is with the silver bullet. So isn't it funny that the moon, the Luna caused you to be a lunatic, and now the silver moon is going to cure you. It caused it, and it's going to cure it.
Yeah.
The moon. That's crazy.
It's interesting as well, brother. Did you know that apparently, just naturally, that men have more iron in their body and women have more copper? I don't know if you was aware of that.
I didn't know that, but I did know that men have 60% masculine energy and women have 60% feminine. So now it's up to us to balance ourselves out, not externally, but internally.
Yeah. And also, you know, like I don't know if you've ever seen like videos of like in Africa when the soil is really red. I don't know if you've seen soil that's really red.
See that.
Yeah, well, that's because it's concentrated with a lot of iron. And what they actually do is pregnant women, they dig up the soil and they
put it on their hair.
No, they actually eat it.
Oh.
They actually eat the soil because it's concentrated in a lot of iron, and it apparently helps the baby. But also another thing that I researched while I was doing that is that I think that out of all the elements, the most concentrated element inside of the earth is iron. That's probably why they say that the center of the globe has an iron core, if that makes sense. Because, you know, they use that theory in the globe model, obviously. But
that's
yeah.
right.
But yeah, brother, you wanted to talk a bit more about the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, and you kind of even introduced something to me. We was talking about the Yod He Vav He, which is number 26, which is actually iron in the periodic table. Iron is 26.
Wow.
Which corresponds with Yod He Vav He. But you say that there's actually an extra part to that, which is Shin, which is the spirit. Can you elaborate on that a bit, brother?
Yes, brother. So basically, Yod He Vav He is earth, water, air, fire, or here,
Yep.
Yod He Vav He.
Yeah.
Now, people translate it to say, I am that I am.
Yeah.
I am that I am. But if you go back to Canaanite, because Hebrew is actually, it's modern Hebrew and it's ancient Hebrew, which is Canaanite, Phoenician.
Yeah.
So basically, ancient Hebrew is Phoenician and modern Hebrew is basically the new Phoenician. But here's my point. Before it was Yod He Vav He, it was these pictographs. It was hand, behold, nail, behold.
Yep.
Which just means he exists and causes to exist. Now, I've looked at many different interpreters on YouTube, and everyone agrees that the Canaanite version was before, and it was he exists and causes to exist, and now it becomes I am that I am, which is fine. You know, it's we all know what it means. It's he who exists, or he who Jesus is the unseen one. I am, because you are not your name. You are not your birth certificate name. When someone says, who are you? You don't say, I am Julio Castro. You say, I am. I'm a sovereign being. That's it. I am. So this is called the Tetragrammaton, and it's Yod He Vav He. This is the Pentagrammaton, which is the 5 letters of God, not the 4 letters of God.
Yeah.
And the 5 letters is Yahweh or Yahashua, just like this. Yahashuwaha. And all it means is Jesus or God's salvation. You have God and God's messenger, Yahweh and Yahweh. So I just want people to remember that.
Do you know what's so interesting, brother?
Yeah.
Sorry, just to quickly elaborate on that. Because whenever I used to like research Tetragrammaton, for example, the 4-name word for God, I always used to see it with a 5-pointed star. And I used to think, it used to confuse me. I'd think, why are they using a 5-pointed star? But then I'd realize that it was the ether, was the extra, like the sort of
that's right. Earth, air, fire, water, ether.
Yep. But the thing is, I've never heard it with the Shin part, how you explained it, but now it makes more sense of why they used a 5-pointed star. It's like they're almost telling us without telling us, if that makes sense. It's like
exactly. And this is what Stan Tenen told me. Stan Tenen with the Hebrew alphabet, the dance of the Hebrew letters.
Yep.
With the Meru Foundation.
Yep.
Well, he said this. He said every Hebrew letter, you can make the letter with your hand.
Yep.
So if you tilt your hand, it makes different letters.
Yep.
So when you go like this is
that Resh.
This is Resh, the head.
Yeah.
Resh.
Yeah.
And this is Ayin next to your eyes.
Yeah.
Ayin. And he said that Shin is like that. Shin, because it means shine, like your aura. It's crazy.
Yep.
So this is Resh and Shin. I was like, what? So Shin means on top of your head. It's your aura, like around your body. And let me show you this really quick. If I can turn around. When the star is upwards, spirit is above the earth, air, fire, water. But when you turn it upside down, spirit is underneath the matter. Yep. You want your mind above matter, not matter above your mind.
Of course.
And that's all it means. It's they just curve.
The backwards one is the Baphomet. The symbol they use for the Baphomet, where the 5-pointed star, but it's turned upside down. you seen that before?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, brother, there's so much. See, I love occultism and astrology and merging the two together. It's amazing. And do you know what, brother? You know the day we spoke, and I said I have a friend from Holland who I speak to. Well, we got speaking, and we was talking about the Quran, and I found out two amazing things about the Quran. There is actually the sun is mentioned 33 times in the Quran.
Wow.
And do you know about like the Hebrew year 5778, and that is the temperature surface of the sun? Do you know about that?
You mentioned that, but I forgot to write that down.
Yeah.
So say it again.
So 5778 Kelvin, when it's measured in Kelvin, Kelvin is like a type of measurement. So 5778 Kelvin is the temperature surface of the sun. Well, in the Quran, from the first verse that mentions the sun to the last mention, there is 5778 verses, and that is the temperature surface of the sun as well.
And those are between the 33 sayings of the sun. There's 33 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing, brother. It's
That's
just
crazy.
every time I find these new things, like, for example, Allah, the word Allah is 34, which comes to 7. But then the Muslims, they celebrate their new month on the sighting of a new moon. And the sighting of a new moon is 7% of a moon. So Allah comes to number 7 in Gematria. And the way the Muslims celebrate their new month is the sighting of a new moon, which is 7% of the moon as well. And then the new moon is only sighted when it's 16 degrees away from the sun. So 1 and 6 is also 7. So there's a lot of like 7 correlations in Islam as well. But the word
Islam, the Muslims are the ones.
The word Islam comes to 9, but the word Allah comes to 7. And that makes sense because Allah would correspond for me to the Elohim, because Al and El, A and E would be interchangeable. Because both the words El, like E-L comes to, that's okay, brother. E-L comes to 8 because E is 5 and L is 12. So 12 would become 3, so that becomes 8. But Al comes to 4, A and L. So you can see L and Al are just, they're multiples of each other. Al, A-L is 4 in Gematria, and L is 8. And God in English is also 8 as well. And that's like the infinity sign. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Muhammad has 7 letters, right? Muhammad?
I'm not sure how many letters, but I know it comes to 72.
I know Abraham has 7 letters. I think Muhammad does too. And I think they go around 7 times the Kaaba to mimic the steps of Muhammad, right?
Yep. But I also think that 7 times going around the Kaaba may be something to do with Saturn or Set, or maybe just the 7 planets going around the Earth, because the cube would symbolize the Earth. It could be the Rupus Nigra, Mount Meru as well, exactly, because the Muslims believe that that is the center of the Earth, and they actually believe that there's an ethereal Mecca above the Kaaba as well.
Well, yeah, to me that perfectly symbolizes, you're right, the 7 luminaries going around the North Pole, because there is a vortex. Yeah. Just like everyone knows that there's a hexagon on Saturn on the North Pole, because there's a vortex there. It's a tornado. It's a never-ending perpetual vortex at the North Pole and South Pole of Saturn, supposedly. But yeah, that's basically as above, so below.
Yeah. And also, brother, as well, like when you think about if you look at where Mecca is situated on the map, it's right next to the Tropic of Cancer. So obviously the Islam symbol is the moon, and we know Cancer is ruled by the moon. So that makes sense of why that region, a lot of their, even all the pagan people before the Muslims, they all kind of revered the moon. But that would make sense because they're all near the Tropic of Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. But also, if you look at the word scarab, well, it has the word Arab in it as well.
Wow.
The scarab is the crab, which is Cancer, which is the scarab, which is the Arabs who where Mecca is and how Islam came about. So again, brother, it's just looking at words and numbers and like working them all out. Like it's so interesting, man. But another thing I want to tell the viewers as well, you're a very, very knowledgeable guy when it comes to magnetism and dielectricity and the torus field and electricity. When did you get into looking at that type of knowledge? The more technical knowledge. I know it all connects. All what we're talking about connects with magnetism and the torus field. But like for me, I would say I lean more towards what we've been talking about already. Obviously, I know the basics of like a torus field. You have left turning blue centripetal energy, and you have right turning red centrifugal energy, and then you have the plane of inertia in the middle. So I'm very aware of all that. But I think because you have an extensive knowledge on that part, it'll be good to hear some of your ideas in regards to that subject.
That's right. So this is the bottom of a pine cone.
Yeah.
But how I started with this before I get into it, Santos says all is Atum. That's one of the first videos on his channel that I've seen. It was part 1, all is Atum.
Yeah.
And the Egyptians, they always say all is Atum. So that means everything is atoms. And we even say that to this day, that everything in the world is made of atoms. So of course, I believe the Egyptians used to say that, because why else would we say that? Because we carry it on from the Egyptians saying all is Atum. We still say it. So that knowing that, I said, wow, the reason we think what we think is because obviously we go to school and we're told this, that the inner volume of every atom is 99.999% emptiness. I'm supposed to believe that my atoms are just filled with nothingness. And then I'm supposed to believe that outer space is 99 point vacuum of emptiness, empty space. There's no oxygen, nothing. Now, Santos told me that it's not nothing, that actually it's everything.
Exactly.
Outer space is filled with information, not nothing, it's information. And so is the space between your atoms is information, but Ken Wheeler calls it magnetodielectricity. So I said, what is this magnetodielectricity? And then I realized that the inner volume of every atom is magnetodielectricity, which is none other than what my magnets, when they repel each other, what is this invisible force that I can't push them together? What is that? That's what love is. I can radiate from my heart and you can't see it or feel it, but you can feel it. Just like when I push these magnets, something's not letting it, something is there. There's an invisible force.
Yep.
And as strong as that magnet is, that's how strong my love is, because it can reach anyone. So Santos taught me that there is an existence of a massless, weightless, particuleless energy that the scientists may say nothing is there. So they're going to deny my love. They're going to say that I have no love coming out of my heart, but I know I have love in my heart. So you can't tell me that there's nothing coming out of my heart. I know that there's this invisible energy, and I don't need a scientist to tell me what this magnetism is, because nobody will tell you that except for Ken Wheeler and Santos on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So after that, it wasn't going down the rabbit hole. I feel like I climbed out of the rabbit hole. Like I saw the light of day. So I guess I'll just say that. You want to add something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, totally, because they say everything came from nothing, but it's just like everything came from everything, because that supposed nothingness is the true potential of everything. Because it's like saying an apple came out of nothing, but it didn't come out of nothing. It came out of that little seed that has is programmed or has a blueprint to produce that
More
torus field or that apple. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and it's really funny actually, because the word for apple in Turkish is elma, which is ELMA. So it's almost like an abbreviation for electromagnetism. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, elma, and also that's an anagram for male in English as well. Obviously, and the males
Okay.
have the Adam's
Yeah.
apple. Is what I mean.
That's right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
look.
just to like move on. What years did you come across the whole theory of the Earth maybe being flat or the Earth not being a globe? How long have you been looking into that? Because you're very knowledgeable when it comes to that subject as well.
Yeah. I used to think the Earth was a sphere and it's spinning, and I thought it was wonderful that, you know, there's infinite potential for life to be on another planet like ours. But then I realized that if Earth was in fact an infinite plane, that you can still have a bunch of creatures that go out in all directions.
Yep.
So I came across a man named Martin Kinney on YouTube.
Yep.
Santos actually did a video with Martin Kinney.
Yep.
So you know, thinking it's just a flat Earth with a dome on top, that's just like the basics. People might say, nah, that's impossible. But once you start getting really deep and start considering that there's many domes and we are just on one section of this giant everlasting plane, because the definition for a plane is infinite in all directions. I can look that up in my thesaurus right now. The definition for plane is a level of existence, and in geometry, a plane is a infinite in all directions surface. Yeah. So I know that this is infinite in all directions until we go beyond the ice and prove that it's not infinite. To me, it's infinite until we prove that it's not infinite. Fair enough. Anyways, if I ask a glober who believes the Earth's a globe, I'm going to say, show me the edge of the universe, of outer space. They're going to say there is no edge. It's infinite in all directions. Exactly. So they love to say that the universe is infinite and you'll never find an edge, but then they want to ask us to find the edge. Well, there is no edge, because once you go past the ice, there's more land, and there's never going to be an edge. You will never fall off because it's infinite in all directions, just like your universe is. So I love the idea of infinite. Like you can never put me in a box. I know that infinite exists and you cannot deny that. So whether your universe is infinite or the Earth is infinite, we come from infinity, and you can never take that away. Like our souls will never die. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like what you're saying is how similar to how Santos has kind of said in the past, how we might live in like a Russian doll system where it's domes around domes. You get what I'm saying? And it would make sense, because I think in Martin Kenny's model, he had like in the next realm, Venus and Mars was the sun and moon, and then the realm after that was Saturn and Jupiter. So it would make sense because their orbits would be wider. So it would make sense that exactly that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I necessarily believe that theory. It's very possible. I'm open to it.
That's right.
But yeah, so it's funny how you can see the cone shape at the top as well. You see on the top of that, there's like a cone shape.
For sure.
It's very interesting. But yeah, brother, I mean, that's like a subject that I delved so deep into, and I looked into so many models, like we spoke about when we spoke in private. There's really cool models, but to me, the one that makes most sense to my life and the way I experience life is the flat Earth, because that's how I experience life. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. So we have ley lines, right? So the ley lines would be coming out from the center, just like this would be the flat Earth right there. Now you say, well, why this shape? Well, look at a peacock. The feathers of a peacock are, it's kind of blurry right here, but it's doing.
I can see it.
It's doing the like this, the face of a sunflower. let me see. I have more here.
Yeah, it's like the Fibonacci spiral, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, look at this. These are trees. See how it's infinite?
Yep.
Look at the humans. Our torus is a tree and a torso.
Yep.
We have a root chakra and a crown chakra. So
yep.
I know that this earth is more than what they tell us, and it's very intelligent and divine. And it has to be a physical reflection of the divine source.
For sure.
So look at the teeth. This is called a lamprey. This is an animal in the ocean. And look at its teeth. It's doing it is the Fibonacci sequence. That's the teeth of a lamprey. Now this right here is the magnetic field that Ken Wheeler always shows. And he says he invented this magnetic field viewing device. So if I never seen this, Santos showed me, I would have never knew why everything in nature has this pattern. Cactuses, the bottom of a pine cone, the top of an acorn, and then you look at the electromagnetic field and you're like, wow, my body has this spiral.
Yep.
So
now, we have it at the top of our head, like the cowlick, they say, you know, where your hair grows on the top of your head.
That's right. So now when you look at flat Earth, you're not just looking at some piece of rock in space, you're looking at a divine, like I can see the spiral coming out of the center of there. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And this is what our ley lines are. Do you know how we would find ley lines, our ancestors, how they would find them? There's two ways that I know of looking for ley lines on the ground. And these are literally the points of intersection of the Earth's magnetic field lines. Where they intersect is what is considered a ley line.
Yeah.
So there's one way called dowsing, where you get a string.
Oh, yep, I know what dowsing is.
And you put a crystal at the end, and you walk around the forest, and where the field is strong, it'll start doing a pendulum swing, or sometimes it'll spin. And you're like, holy crap, I'm on top of a ley line. Well, here's another way. You can just use your eyeballs and look at the trees around you. If there's certain trees that are going straight up, then they're not on top of a ley line. But if certain trees are curling and spiraling, then it's probably on top. Literally, you can meditate next to that tree, and you will find that the reason the tree is doing that is because everything that is visible comes from that which is invisible. Yep. So the tree is only a physical reflection of the invisible spiritual energy that's there. And that's why I always tell people everything that is physical has the golden spiral, because it's a reflection of the invisible. It has to follow that energy flow. And that's pretty easy to me. That's why I'm such people love when I talk about magnetism, because I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Because even I did do you know what the analema is? Yes,
of course.
Yeah. So because I did a presentation on the analema recently, and I was looking at it, and then it suddenly struck me that, you see, you have the little loop at the top and then the bigger loop at the bottom. Well, if you kind of untangled that loop, then the analema would become an egg. So the egg shape is 1/1.618. So I don't know if so let me just get my board and show you. I'll draw it for you. 1 second, brother.
You know what's funny? Before you do that, there's a YouTube video, and it's about a guy, and it has like millions of views, and it kind of like, it's a slap in the face to us, because they're telling people, that's right, the analema.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, if you was to flip that round, then that would become like this. Oh, 1 second, let me draw it.
Well, basically, what they would tell us is that we are just looking for the golden ratio. That they say the only reason you always find it is because you're looking for it.
So what I'm saying is, if you was to untangle that, it would then become that. It would be smaller at the top and wider at the bottom. So that would be 1, and that would be 1.618.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No. See, I know that. But people would say, nah, you guys are just obsessed with the golden ratio. So you, to you, everything is the golden ratio. But it's like, it's not to me. It's
it just is, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Even our fingers, like the sections, if we and all that. So yeah, loads. It's just, see, the thing is, with once you realize particular things, then you can just, everything becomes apparent. Do you get what I'm saying? But the thing is, too many of us have had too many veils put over our head, and it's just unstripping all those veils to see particular things. And yeah, it's so interesting, brother. But yeah, I mean, once I learned about the fire ratio, it's like everything. Once you learn about everything, then it's like you just start building that foundation, and then it becomes an actual building, meaning like you've created something from it.
Yeah, look at this is the symbol for phi. It's on the neck of a cobra.
Oh wow, that's right. It's the circle with the thing going through it. Yeah.
Yep. Now look at this. The owl. Santos actually showed this one on his page, but there's the magnetic field and here's the owl. So when you look at an owl, you're looking at that electromagnetic field. Wow. So now,
yeah, I've seen them before.
Everywhere I look, I just see magnetism.
I'm going to show you something as well, brother.
For sure.
I bought this like little musical instrument.
Oh,
it's on there as well. You see that?
Pretty dope. How do you play that?
Yeah, so you just like.
Oh.
Also, you can move it to make different sounds. For example. Whoop. So you can just you move it along. Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
So yeah, it's even that you can even see the Taurus field pattern on here as well. So
sure.
Yeah, it's everywhere, brother.
Yeah, brother. So it's just to me, look at this. This is the red Bina, and this is Chakma, mercy and severity.
Yeah.
Now, when blue and red come together, that's when you have the centrifugal and centripetal.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to make this, which is the electromagnetic field. So basically, when you're at the bottom, it's not going to create your field that you want to create until you get out of the lower mind.
Yeah.
You become more high frequency, and it's millimeter waves. So this is where intelligence is at. Down here is pure animalistic behavior. It takes no thought. This is just reaction. Up here is the interaction.
Yeah, that makes sense because the moon, Yesod, is right on top of Malkuth, and the moon is your reactions. So it even makes sense in terms of the planetary alignments. But what I was going to ask, brother, is from your knowledge, you see you have Boaz and Jachin, the two pillars. Which one is red and which one is blue? Because I've seen conflicting ideas. When I first initially did my research, I connected Boaz with blue because Boaz connects with the moon, and then Jachin with red because Jachin correlates with the sun. But people have told me it's the opposite. And I would like to get your opinion on that.
So yeah, I would have did this for Boaz, and I would have did this for Jachin. Boaz would be blue.
Yeah.
And Jachin would be red.
Yeah, that's how I initially thought it was as well. But other people have told me it's different because red, because you see how in the 7 chakras, red correlates with the moon chakra.
Yep.
So they would say, no, the moon correlates with the root chakra, should I say, sorry. So they would say that Boaz would be red and then Jachin would be blue because it's near, because the heart chakra, which is the sun, would be near the blue shift. So there's different people have got different ways of seeing it. But I kind of think they're both right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in the Bible, it says that the north pillar was made of bronze and it was Boaz, and the pillar to the south was Jachin. So I don't think All it says is there were two copper pillars.
Yeah.
One was north, one was south. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure north would be blue, which is Boaz,
Yeah.
and south would be red, which is Jachin.
Yeah, that's what naturally comes to me as well. So,
Yeah.
like obviously, yeah. So that would be north. Like I've got two lamps here, so that blue one would be north, and that would be south.
Yup, exactly. So
yeah. So, and I've got green in the middle. I don't know if you can see. I've got a green dome.
Damn.
Yeah, it's got a lamp in it. It's got a candle in it.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, because I did like I've done a lot of presentations on the Syncretism Society in regards to Boaz and Jachin, and that's how I correlated it the way you have, because I'm thinking if Boaz correlates with the moon, then the moon would correlate more with blue, and then the sun would correlate more with red. But again, there's different opinions, but ultimately I think the colors, they're important to make associations, but I think knowing the actual meaning of like Boaz connecting with the moon and Jachin connecting with the sun, that's enough, if that makes sense, rather than whether it's red or blue, because they're kind of interchangeable to a degree.
That's right. You have the Ida and the Pingala. The pineal is the Pingala, the Ida is the pituitary. So now I'm going to shift it over here. Here's the 12 endocrine glands: the pineal, pituitary, thyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, ovaries, and testes. So the endocrine is your inner Christ system, the endocrine. Yeah. Because you have exocrine, which are the glands that release outside the body, and endocrine, they release chemicals into the body. So for instance, the woman's nipples is an exocrine gland, and the men's salivary and tear glands are exocrine glands because they release liquid outside the body. Yeah. But the pineal and pituitary, they're two of the endocrine that release the oil into the bloodstream. So from your pituitary, it gives away the positive component. Actually, this should be negative component. Yeah. The negative is electric, and I think the positive is magnetic. Yeah. And so Santo says positive and negative, magnetic and electric, sun and moon. And this is Joseph and Mary, and they come down and then they go back up.
Or so, Abraham and Sarah as well.
Exactly. So that's all it is the two hemispheres of the brain, the two glands, and you just got to carry them back up to where they come from. Oh, look at this is what Santos did earlier. I don't know if he ever caught this, but check this out. The monad, right?
Monad, yep.
Jesus comes from
the Madonna.
Wow, the monad. Because Madonna is the virgin. She's pure. That's oneness. Yep. So of course Jesus comes from Madonna because he comes from the monad. That's why when he goes back up to God, he says, I am one with the Father. So I was like, what? And even they call it the Black Madonna. They say she's black because Jesus, the white sun, comes from blackness.
Yep. It's interesting again because do you know the sports make Umbro? Well, you know, if you turn it around, it becomes like a woman's vagina. The symbol of Umbro is a woman's vagina, but the word in Turkish is like a slang word for a woman's vagina as well. And the word umbra means darkness, where there's no light. So inside the woman's vagina is darkness, where there's no light. So it's the unseen. So it's all the words as well.
These are the 9 realms of Thor, Norse mythology. All right, so look, this is Helheim.
Yep.
That's Midgard.
Midgard, yeah.
And that's Asgard.
Yep.
Well, look, this is Light Alfheim, and this is Dark Alfheim. So it's showing you from dark to light.
Yep.
These are obviously the chakras. Each of the 9 realms is the 7 chakras. And I like how it's Helheim, and that's what we call hell in English.
Yep. And the heel, your foot as well, like you said.
And your heel, that's right. Like I always show that the hell is your heel. So it's just crazy. I'm like, wow, these, like it's all entangled. You know, where does the word hell come from? It comes from Norse mythology. It comes from Egypt. It's all the same, you know, concept. It's always dealing with the root chakra, which is red. The German word for red is rot.
Rot, yeah, exactly.
Rot,
yeah. And yeah, well, I did like some etymology lessons on the Syncretism Society, and it's so crazy, brother, because like, for example, in the word for Aries in Turkish is koç, right? And we know Aries rules the head, right?
Yep.
Well, a coach in English is the head of a team.
That's right.
But koç in Turkish means Aries. So, and it means a coach as well.
The head, that's right.
So it's so interesting. But also the word koch or koch, K-O-C-H in Welsh means red, koch, which means, well, if koch means red and koch means Aries, well, Aries is ruled by Mars.
Fire.
Yeah, fire and red. And Aries deals with the blood, and Venus deals with the veins.
Wow.
So it's just it's all in the language, brother, and like it's crazy as well, because I even talked about, you see how Elon, the word Elon Musk, like Elon Musk. Well, Musk is a reddish scent, and Elon can be changed to iron because of the interchangeables. Iron.
Hey, you know what's funny is everyone compares him to Iron Man. That's insane.
Yeah, well, it's in his name. Elon Musk is basically saying Iron Musk, because I and E are interchangeable, and R and L are interchangeable. So that Elon can become Iron, and then you get words like Aaron and Alan, and then you get so many derivations from that word. Like for me, brother, I can look at a word for something and then just make, so because of understanding etymology and syncretism, I can make so many connections. It's amazing.
Check this out. This right here is Solomon's temple.
Right.
There's the Sol and Moon. Solomon temple.
Yep.
There's bows and jacking.
Yep.
So this is how it would have looked. Now basically, there's the cube, ball, cabal. The checkerboard is matter and spirit, earth and ether.
Yep.
And it just means we go up and we go down. It's the Ouroboros.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Now, the Temple of Solomon, there's 1 door, 2 door, 3 door. So basically, this is your body, and that is your skull.
Yep, that's why it's
the
called head. Yep.
The Holy of Holies, because your skull has the most holes in all of your skeletal system. Your skull is the holiest with many holes.
Yep.
So it says that you have to go to the Holy of Holies and lift the veil, because you have to basically open up your third eye to get to your mind. It's like your body is a treasure. The skull is as another treasure box. It's kind of like a sarcophagus within a sarcophagus within a sarcophagus.
Also, brother, another one I was talking to someone about recently is that, you know, when you go to a church and you go to the altar, well, you're going there to get your consciousness altered.
Exactly. The altar to alter your consciousness. That's right.
So,
and that's why when they go into the altar, in order to lift the veil, they always have the incense burning.
Yeah.
Because in order to lift that veil, you have to alter your mind so you can see.
Yeah.
So you either smoke cannabis or you eat mushrooms, and that's what Santos said. It's the Vatican, and the Pope he has a little a bowl. He swings it, and he's supposed to have cannabis in there. He's breathing it in, cannabis. But and then he's at the altar. He's altering his mind.
Yeah.
So,
brother, that's what I'm saying. That plant is an amazing. That's what helped me. Without that, I wouldn't have known none of this.
That's what Santos says.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, brother. I was just gonna say, we're gonna have to come to an end for today. It's been an amazing chat, but
for sure,
this is only the first of many. So we're gonna have so many more, and I really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, just before I go, let the people know where they can find your work. I'm gonna leave the links in the description as well once I put this on YouTube, so they'll be able to see your work. But just let them know verbally.
So basically, you guys can follow my TikTok. It's Divine Being Being Divine, just like that. And then my Instagram is DivineBeingBeingDivine _, and my YouTube is Divine Being Being Divine without the underscore. So you guys should find me there. Yep.
Okay, brother. Thank you, Julio. I really enjoyed that chat. Like I always say to you, I know that we could talk forever, but obviously we don't have forever. But there will definitely be a part 2 to this, and maybe also next time we'll have an extra guest and we can make it more interesting and 3 of us all interact. That would be beautiful. So like I said, brother, thank you very much, and I really appreciate your time, and I'll catch up with you soon.
All right, brother.
All right, peace.